Hello, it's Lynn Watts here, and in this video, I want to talk about doing lessons on careers with elementary age students. And it may be that somebody is thinking, why do we need to focus on careers when children are so young? But it's also true that we often say to kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? And so I think it's very helpful to at least open the door to thinking about the future in terms of the work that students want to plan for, and also to give them an idea of that there are so very many options. I think many times that kids learn about very narrow options, um, like fireman, firewoman, doctor, nurse, so forth and so on. And they don't realize that there are just really almost an infinite number of different careers and that you can be very creative in coming up with those. So the first thing that I think you want to do as a counselor, especially in a lesson, is to kind of group careers together into some different categories. And then within those categories, give some ideas about not only what careers fall into that, but what sort of interests a student might have if they're going into those areas and what sort of skills they need to learn. And even maybe some of the qualities, the personal qualities that a person probably would need to have if they were going to go into that. So I'm going to real quickly just identify five different categories here, and then kind of a final wrap up that you would want to do in a lesson. So the first category might be creative careers, and that could be anything from an artist to a chef to a graphic designer, architect, and so on. And so some of the key characteristics are creativity, liking to create or invent new things. And then there are some different specific areas that might be involved in each one of those, and maybe even surprisingly being good at math. All right. So the second category that you might um, talk about is helping careers. And these are some that we're very familiar with: teacher, counselor, doctor, social worker, and so on. Key characteristics might be having empathy, compassion for others, patience, good communication skills, and certainly, I think being able to express yourself well would be an important ability or skill to have in all of those. The third one would be STEM related careers. So science, technology, engineering, and math. And this would be perhaps a software developer, a mathematician, an astronaut. And some key characteristics there might be having a very curious and problem solving approach to life or mind, critical thinking. Teamwork would be important, being able to work in a team. The fourth one would be business and leadership. And this is one that I think we probably don't spend as much time on with young students. I think that's very unfortunate because businesses really support our whole way of life. And it's an area that many times we look to being employed somewhere, but not to being an entrepreneur or how to start a business or create a business. Some typical different categories are, of course, manager, an accountant, a marketer, and all other kinds of entrepreneurs. So leadership skills, ability to be organized, to manage a team, work well with a whole team of people, decision making, strategic thinking. These are all the kind of skills and characteristics a person would need to go into the area of business and leadership. And then the final one, which I think is also another area that many times we don't spend nearly enough time talking with young students about, is trades and technical careers. And we certainly have a deficit of this in our country, partly because of the emphasis on going to college for everybody, when there are so many trade occupations that are available and that are so fitting to the characteristics and abilities of a population. So this might be an electrician, a mechanic, a plumber, construction worker. Um, uh, uh, any of these areas would require someone who really likes, for instance, working with their hands, actually doing things, problem solving, attention to safety, someone who's resourceful. So certain characteristics certainly go with different careers, and you want to talk about that. And also, the final thing that you definitely want to pull into all of this lesson is the importance of school and how the things that they are learning in school are going to apply to these particular years. And I think it's important to really connect those things so that students see how what they're doing today is definitely going to apply to their future, and how important it is to begin thinking early on, even though the world, once our young students graduate from high school or any further education, is certainly going to be very different as it was for all of us. And the careers that will be available may be kind of hard to imagine now, but the characteristics and the interests and the skills that students develop are going to be applicable still. And those are things that they learn in school and they practice in school. So I hope this helps as you create lessons on careers. There's certainly also lots of great picture books you can read. I'm going to do a separate video on that. And also, many people do a career day where they pull in people from the community to talk about these different types of careers. And I would recommend, if you're going to do that, that you find someone from each of these different categories so that you have that represented in the careers that you present to students through community leaders. So, as always, thanks so much for listening, and I hope this helps in your lesson planning in schools. Thanks.